Hey everyone, and welcome back to For the Par, Mind, Body, Golf. So today we're going to be focusing on something I wanted to do as part of the intro to the channel, but it needed some more time, effort and thought put into it. I didn't want to just waffle at you for 20 minutes and you get no value out of it. So today I'm going to be talking about my journey for my personal par, what that looks like, what it involved. As some of you may know already, I'm Alex, I'm 32, so starting my journey a little bit later than some others potentially, but we're going to talk about how I got to this point, how this journey began. Ever since I was a little kid, I had spent a lot of time with my grandparents who were Italian and Maltese, two cultures that love food, love family, love friends. And one thing, if any of you out there are Italian or Maltese, you will know is your grandparents do not let you leave the table until you finish your dinner. That was a large part of where I got my weight from, I believe. I spent a lot of time eating, and if I'd finished, my nana or my nonno would have offered me more food. I would have graciously accepted it, and I wouldn't leave the table till I was done. A love of food with the combination of a loving family, I think, led to my obesity as a child. It's something that has followed me for up until this point, in fact. You know, by all metrics and measurements, I am still obese. I'm probably the fittest I've ever been, but I am still by definition an obese individual. Another part of my life that significantly impacted how I got to where I am today is, unfortunately, when I was 15 years old, I lost my dad to cancer. A very long, drawn-out battle with cancer. I think it started, if memory serves, when I was about 12. We, like so many others, heard the all clear about a year and a bit into the treatment, and shortly after that, probably 6 months or so, we found out that unfortunately the cancer had come back and had made its way into my dad's lymphatic system, which is, or at least was then, a fairly dire situation. So yeah, unfortunately 2 years later I lost my dad to cancer, which led to me being quite reclusive. I ended up spending a lot of time on my computer, in my study, at home, and just locking myself away. I think, you know, I didn't know it back then, but looking back and reflecting on it, I think that was my escape from, you know, what was going on around me. It affected my school life, and I was basically sedentary. So any food that was going in was just sitting and, you know, turning into fat, which again just multiplied my issues when it came to my weight at the time. From about the age of 17, 18, so a couple years after Dad passed away, I'd started looking at all options out there for diets and what I could do to help myself. And, you know, with the support of my mum at the time, obviously I was still a kid essentially. And, you know, she would support me wholeheartedly with whatever endeavor it was that I wanted to go on, whether it was Slimming World, the Atkins diet, you know, you can name it, I've tried it. I think one of the craziest diets I went on was the Cambridge diet, which for anyone out there that doesn't know what that is, it's essentially a meal replacement diet. So at that point in time in my life, I think this is when I was about 21. I was at university. Again, I had spent a large part of my university time doing things that weren't university things. I was playing video games on my computer. I would miss nights out just to stay at home and play games with my online friends. And I could quite easily sit down, order a Domino's. And when I say a Domino's, there was student deals of buy one large pizza, get another large pizza free, and we'll throw in a 2-litre bottle of full fat Coke. Well, over the course of an evening, I would polish all of that off. And I think by today's standards, that's somewhere around the region of 5,000-6,000 calories. So things were bad when I was at university, and that's what led me to the Cambridge diet, which, you know, I went from, you know, possibly taking in, you know, 3,000 to 6,000 calories a day, to drinking 3 or 4 of these little milkshakes, probably about this big a day. Each of those milkshakes, if memory serves, were about 150 calories. So I was suddenly taking in maybe somewhere between 400 and 700 calories a day. I would not recommend it. I think, yes, male pattern baldness is a thing, but I think part of why I haven't got hair it now is because of that diet. Before that diet, I had long, thick hair. Yeah, believe it or not, I will throw a picture up so you can all laugh at me. I did have long, thick hair, and after that diet, my hair thinned, and by the age of about 25, 26, I was bald. So yeah, would not recommend the Cambridge diet. But this is all to say that I have tried every single diet you could possibly imagine, until I got to a point where, with the help of a coach, that I've found a healthy relationship with food. So yeah, yo-yo dieting is not the way forward, people. This is not advice, but my experience has shown that yo-yo dieting is not what has helped me get to where I am today. So as I said at the start of the video, I want to talk about what PAR looks like for me. Now, PAR comes in 3 different shapes and sizes at the moment. We've got the long term, the medium term, and the short term. So the reason I started this journey in general was 2.5 years ago. My wife and I were very fortunate. We had our first son, and he is everything you could possibly want in a child and more. But I knew then that I didn't want him to go through what I went through as a child at the age of 12 to 15. And it's very common knowledge nowadays that being overweight, being obese is, not necessarily the number one cause of death, but it's certainly a contributing factor to a number of the things out there that do end up causing death in us humans. So I want to spend my time minimizing the risk that I pose on myself of dying early. That's my number one goal. So if you want to put it into a single word, longevity is my long-term PAR. Medium term. So I really love the idea of being comfortable in my own skin, and to be honest, I'm just not at the moment. This year so far, I have gone from 125 kilos, or just short, 124.7 kilos, down to where I am today at 105.9. So, I've nearly lost 20 kilos this year. I'm still not where I want to be. My medium term goal is to feel comfortable in my skin, comfortable with how I look, in the clothes that I wear, and that could still take me another 18 months, 2 years, maybe even 3 years, but I'm here for that mid-term journey. And we've got the short term. So my short-term PAR is a year-long exercise. So what has that looked like for me so far? So by my birthday, I wanted to be 110 kilos. I missed that by approximately 2 kilos, I think. I think I ended up at 112, so I was a little bit down and out about that, but I didn't beat myself up about it. I had a day where I was like, oh, it's a bit rubbish that I didn't make it, but I was pretty darn close, and I'm considerably closer than I was at the start of the year. And as we look towards the end of the year, my overall goal for the year is to get to 99 kilos. So yes, I know that sounds like a very arbitrary number, but it's below 100. It's a 25 kilo loss, and it's a number that I haven't seen in, I couldn't tell you how long. So that's the first short-term goal. In addition to that, I've got events that I've planned and I've booked, which are to help me on my journey. So the first one, which is coming up in not even 2 and a bit weeks from now, is the 10K trail run. So that will be my first ever outside of park run. That will be my first ever event-based run. Super excited, a little bit nervous, but super excited to partake in that and get my first medal. Very exciting. Second event is the London to Brighton bike ride on the 10th of September. I've actually done that once before on my 21st birthday, believe it or not. Again, I wasn't in a particularly healthy state, but I managed to do the London to Brighton on my 21st birthday. It took me bloody ages, but it would be nice to do it 11 years later and see how I get on. Very excited to do that alongside a bunch of people at my gym, Jones Fitness. I'm super excited to do it with everyone there. And thirdly, I have a duathlon in October. This one is Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I know I can do both the distances of the cycle and the run separately. Doing them together, however, is a whole different challenge altogether. But yeah, I've still got a couple of months to train for that. So yeah, I've got a duathlon in October, and then last but not least, my big event, or what I'm classifying as my big event for the year, is High Rocks London. So in November, I've got a High Rocks event. Just as a quick reminder for you all, what that is it's 8 1-kilometer runs with an exercise in between. So yeah, really looking forward to all these events, and I think that, you know, these things in combination with the diet and the programming I'm on, I think will get me to that 99 kilo goal by the end of the year. I just want to take a minute to remind everyone. I know I said it earlier, but I really want to make a point of this. What I'm providing here is not advice. It's not a blueprint to success of, you know, how you will reach your personal path. What I'm providing here is my experience. I think we do a great deal of showing the best of things on social media at all times, but I think, you know, sometimes we need that raw, unfiltered experience from people around us to realize that we are all in a very similar boat. We're all in this together, and we all have our separate challenges. So just bear that in mind. This is not necessarily advice. This is just sharing experience. If you want some direct advice, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to sit down with you one-to-one, or, you know, one-to-many if that's a preferred situation for people, where we can talk about, you know, your particular situation, what your particular path looks like. Again, I haven't got any academic backing to the advice I'm giving. It would be advice based on experience. So if you want to take me up on that, you're more than welcome to reach out in the comments, or pop me a DM. I'm more than happy to answer them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. So a large part of this channel is talking about, you know, 3 aspects. So the golf, the mental health, and the fitness side of things. So let's start with, in order, as opposed to what I just did there, let's start with the mind. So what does my mindfulness or my mental health regime look like? So I have, up until a week or 2 ago, I've actually been speaking with a psychiatrist once a week. The idea there was I wanted to be able to have better understanding of my emotions. I've historically been very hot and cold. For those of you that have maybe spent time with me, you will have seen both of those sides of me. I can be, you know, absolutely through the roof happy, but at the same time I can go really deep and dark and down. And I wanted to get to a point where I could better understand my emotions and stop that peak and trough being quite so extreme, and, you know, shallow out a little bit. Yes, there will be peaks and troughs. I think that's completely natural, but if I could shallow it out a bit, that was my goal there. And that actually came to an end about 2 weeks ago. So the number of sessions that I had approved for myself was over. I haven't quite decided whether I want to go into long-term regular therapy or not yet. I certainly had felt a benefit from the sessions that I had with my therapist, but I'm seeing if I can go at it alone a little bit, and see how I can do by myself. And I think that's part of why I ended up starting this channel and, you know, my website and my blog, is because it's a way for me to, you know, sometimes just chat rubbish into the microphone, and if no one listens, that's absolutely fine. It's a way for me to again share what's been going on, and yeah, that's been really helpful for my mental well-being. And, you know, again, this doesn't need to be the way I'm doing it. This could be writing in a journal. This could be just screaming into a pillow. Like, maybe that's not the best way of doing it, but there are multiple outlets for this. And so yeah, this is one of my ways that I am focusing on my mind. The other is that, you know, both the body and the golf part of this also feed into the mind aspect. So me being in the gym or me being on the golf course are 2 things that really help my mental health. They are, again, kind of like when I was a kid and sat at my computer and shut myself in the study. Well, that was an escape. Well, the golf course and the gym are that as well, albeit a lot more healthy than my previous escape was when I was much younger. So those are the things that I'm doing to really help me on my mental health journey. And what I would, suggest or look to do, if you are listening to this and thinking, oh, what are my methods of helping my mental health? Well, have a look around you, have a look at the things you're doing and think, is this a way for me to disconnect from my day-to-day, or is there something that I need to add to disconnect temporarily? And just remember, like, there are people around you that will be able to help you disconnect as well. Disconnecting doesn't need to be a solo endeavor. It can involve family, friends, or like I say, a stranger on the internet. Escapism can have many guises. So have a think, have a look around, and consider what your way of relieving your mental stress looks like. Then we get on to the body. So obviously this year I have made a very, very concerted effort to improve things with the journey I've been on. So what things are attributing to that? So the very first one, and the most important by a country mile, is my relationship with food. Like I mentioned, I've done all the yo-yo diets you could possibly imagine. The one I found most success with was keto, but again, the restriction it had when you went into any sort of social interaction or social gathering just made it a real challenge. And you fell off the rail for half a day, you had a few beers or whatever it happened to be, you're paying for it for 3, 4, 5 days afterwards, because you've got to get yourself back into ketosis. And it just, in hindsight, it just wasn't the right choice. The right choice is moderation, and in my case, calories in, calories out. I'm following a fairly rigid macro structure. So it's approximately 40-40-20, so 40% protein, 40% carbs, 20% fat, with somewhere between 1900 and 22 calories a day. That doesn't matter whether it's a rest day or a day in the gym or the golf course, whatever it happens to be. That's just where I'm at, and I've seen a steady decline. I'll put up a graph now to show you what that steady weight decline has looked like, and that steady decline is what I prefer to see, as opposed to sharp declines and then you end up sort of up and downing your whole way down, until eventually you succumb to whatever the reason is that you've jumped off the wagon that you happen to be on. So that's the first thing around food. Next is the activities I take part in. So the other thing that's changed as dramatically as my food is my level of activity. I have been participating in a run club, which is local to me, once a week on a Wednesday. So that's anywhere between a 5 and 7k run, a fairly steady pace. Doesn't push myself too hard, but I really enjoy it. It's a social gathering as well, which is nice. There's usually somewhere between 15 and 30 of us. It's just a really nice excuse to get out in the evening and get some running done. I'm in the gym between 4 and 5 days a week, so I think my programming calls for 5 days. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, and that's totally fine. But I'm in the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I'll either go first thing in the morning, or I'll go after work in the evening. I would prefer to go in the morning. My body just seems to react better to a morning exercise. I'm just a morning person, so so 4 or 5 days in the gym. I do I do park runs on a Saturday. So again, that's a 5k run. Now, this one for me is a little bit more of a competitive run. So whereas with Run Club, I will take it easy and I'll be somewhere between 6 minutes and 5.5 minutes per kilometer. For park run, I'm always looking to beat my PB. So at the moment, that is 5 minutes and 4 seconds per kilometer. So somewhere around 25-20 for a 5k. I really want to break 25 minutes before the end of the year. I've definitely seen the newbie gains wearing off a little bit. So whereas before I was seeing huge drop-offs in my PB every week, it's now, a few seconds here or there. But I still think I can break that 25 mark by the end of the year for sure. And then last but not least, we have the golf part. So as I mentioned, I do play a fairly significant amount of golf, which is, it's great. I'm really fortunate to be able to do that. And why do I do that? It's because I have some goals there as well. So my goal this year was to get to a 5 handicap. I am currently at 5.3. I haven't been playing to around that recently, which has been a bit of a shame. I had a real nice spell, or a purple patch, where I was playing round after round of really, really good golf. But I'm just finding that there are aspects that just let me down at the moment, and that is golf at an amateur level. It's, you can't have your whole bag working all the time. So I work at it, I try and improve things. Just the other day I had a lesson just on my driver, because that was an area of my game that was just letting me down, and it's really frustrating because I'm a reasonable hitter. I can carry the ball 280, 290 when I'm hitting it well. When I'm not, it goes down to 260 and spraying all over the place. So, I spent half an hour, 45 minutes with my coach just working on that exclusively, and we got it back to the point where I was hitting it down the middle and far again. So, I can use that to my advantage. So this year is to get to 5. Next year I want to be down towards 2 or 3 handicap, and fighting for level par rounds as often as possible. So we got to the point in the video where I want to thank a few people, and I know, yes, we're not at the Academy Awards or anything like that, but it would be absolutely ridiculous of me to not thank these people. They are a large part of the reason why I've got to the point I have thus far, why I haven't fallen off the rails like so many times before, and why I continue to want to strive on this journey for my personal path. So let's start with the mind side of things. I want to give a big shout out to my therapist there. She was awesome. She was able to really dig in and ask the right questions at the right times. It's a little bit creepy actually at times, because it's like you have a conversation and suddenly she asks something, you're like, damn, I really need to think about that and take that away and decompress on that. It was exceptional. In addition to that, family, my wife, my son, my mum, my brother, my in-laws. I don't want to go through the whole list, but all of you make so much of a difference to my mental well-being, and I think when we're strong together, it takes it to the next level for me personally. Next up, I want to talk about my coach at the gym, Ice-T. You are an absolute legend. As I said in a previous video, Ice-T and I started coaching at a accountability and a nutritional level, so just focusing on what I was eating, and just meeting up on a weekly basis, talking through how the week went, how the gym was going, and making sure, or as best we could, making sure I was staying on track. Now, it took some time, it took a couple of efforts to get to the point where it was very consistent for me, and I was able to really, hold myself to account and really focus on the nutritional side of my well-being. And we are now to a point where Ice-T has created me some fantastic programming from a fitness point of view. So it's very much targeted towards my end goal for the year, the High Rocks event. And don't get me wrong, it absolutely kicks my ass. There are days where I do not appreciate Ice-T. I'm just kidding, but it is really bloody hard. So big shout out to you, but also just a shout out to Jones Fitness, for the gym I go to. Every single one of the coaches there are 10 out of 10. Always super supportive. The classes are amazing. So shout out Jones Fitness and Ice-T in particular. Thank you so much for all the help you've given me this year on my journey to my personal path. And last but not least, on to the golf side of things. So I haven't actually said this name, I don't think, at all on camera in the episodes I've recorded so far, but I'm a member at a golf course called John O'Gaunt. I'm incredibly fortunate to be a member there. It's an incredible golf course, or golf club, with 2 golf courses that are both impeccable standard. But specifically at John O'Gaunt, I want to call out Richard. He's been my coach throughout my time there. He has helped me go from an 11 handicap to a 5 handicap in 2 years, which is just somewhere I never thought I'd be. But also the rest of the team as well. So head pro Tom, you are just a legend, dude. Thank you so much. And of course Nick, yeah, couldn't ask for a nicer guy. So thank you all to all you guys in the pro shop. You are the dream team. So thank you all for all your help. And then I want to wrap up by just thanking you all out there. If you've got this far in the video and you're not bored of the thank yous, yeah, thank you so much for watching these, for supporting me on my journey, and I really hope I can support you on yours. So like I said before, please leave a comment, reach out via DM on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it happens to be. And yeah, for those of you that are new here, if you like the content, please subscribe, click that little notification bell if you want to be notified when a new episode like this comes out. And yeah, all I've got to say now is I've been Alex, this has been For the Par, Mind, Body, Golf, and I'll see you soon. Bye.